Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Sian and today I've got for you a slightly different video from normal. I know I mentioned in my previous video that I am now on medication and that was a whole video in itself. So today, here is said video. And this video isn't a cry for help. This isn't a pity party. This isn't a woe is me type video. This is a hopefully relatable video that if you are going through something similar, if you have been feeling similar feelings, I want you to know that you're not alone and I want you to be able to reach out and hopefully get some help for you. So that's where this is coming from. It's not coming from a place of pity. It's coming from a place of hopefully helpfulness and giving you permission to ask for help if you need permission to ask for help, if that makes sense. So let's go back to the beginning of lockdown. And lockdown for me and many people has been very, very hard. I have really struggled with a loss of identity, a loss of who I actually am. And that might sound like major, but I guess it really was. My job and my business I run from home, but it is based on tourism. And obviously running a B&B is not something you can do in the current climate. We had so many people booked in for this. It's basically our busiest time of the year between April and June, July. The rest of the year kind of fits in, but this is our peak period. And to lose all of that business was huge, but also not just to lose the business, but to keep paying out. So we obviously had to refund people who weren't coming anymore. So not only was it no income, it was a negative income because we were literally having to pay out. So that part of it has been really hard, for obvious reasons. And I also I think I've had one blogging job in that whole time as well. So literally one payment in 3 months, nothing else going into my account. And I really was struggling with that loss of independence, I guess. And added on to that was this new role that everybody, mothers especially, had of teaching their children at home. Now, I wouldn't choose to homeschool out of choice. It's not something that appeals to me. My children flourish in school. They do so well. They have fun with their friends, and homeschool in particular hit my daughter really hard. She hasn't enjoyed me being her teacher. She hasn't enjoyed all of the kind of change in dynamic has been really unsettling, I guess, for all of us. So for me, that role of going from being someone who's quite independent, out a lot, to someone who is here all the time, providing for everyone. I felt very much like a kind of 50s housewife of looking after the kids. My husband's been working from home, so he has been working the best he can in the circumstances because it's not always easy, especially with children around who are potentially screaming or shouting. So there's that element of it too. So there's a loss of income. There's a loss of knowing who I am, of having a purpose other than kind of cooking, cleaning, providing, constantly making meals and feeling like that's just a never ending cycle. And topped and kind of added into that equation was my daughter really struggling and her behavior, which has been incredibly disruptive. And, you know, we know how to deal with that, but it's been so much harder when we've all been dealing with our own things too. So I reached a point in May where basically I had been spending most days crying. At some point during the day, the smallest things set me off and felt overwhelming. Every task felt monumental and hard and as if I couldn't achieve them. And these were tasks that I would normally be like whizzing through. And I'm not saying everything was dark. You know, we had some not good times during those days, but the majority of days I was spending in floods of tears, which is not like me. I'm a very positive person. I have a very positive outlook on life. I see the best in people and things and situations. And all of a sudden I was struggling to do that. And it kind of reached a point where I was really wondering what the purpose of me being alive was. And that's really not a very nice place to be. It's soul destroying, questioning your own existence and whether people would actually miss you, or, and I know that that was a place that I went to because my brain wasn't thinking logically, but it's very difficult to kind of get your head out of that place. And we just reached a point where everything kind of felt too much, too overwhelming, too heavy and horrible, and like I couldn't cope. And I know I wasn't coping. So at that point, well, probably not at that point, probably 2 weeks-ish after that point, I finally rang my GP, and it was actually my sister who kind of gave me the push I needed. I knew a few weeks before, as I said, that I needed to call my GP, but I hadn't done it because, you feel a lot of shame in saying I need help. So I rang my GP, couldn't get through to my actual GP, but spoke to another one, and she was brilliant. I just said exactly how I was feeling, totally overwhelmed, totally unsure of everything. And she just instantly said, right, it sounds very much like you're depressed, and I'm going to prescribe you some medication. And she explained the side effects of the medication. She explained how long it would take before the medication worked. She was really helpful. And after getting off the phone, I burst into tears and just thought, why didn't I do this sooner? Because I felt so much lighter just from having spoken to someone and said, I can't do this anymore. And I would urge anyone who's in that position to do the same. Reach out to your GP, reach out to any of the incredible charities that there are out there. Reach out to someone and just talk to them, because that alone will make you feel so much lighter and so much more in control. I think I felt like everything was just whooshing away from me, and there was nothing that I could control in that situation, nothing I wanted to. So after this, I went on to citalopram. She initially prescribed me 20 milligrams, which made me feel so physically sick that I just couldn't do it. And I was awake, not sleeping at night. So I rang her probably only about 3 days later and said, look, can I halve the dose? And luckily the tablets could split in half. So I halved the dose. And from there, it was all a lot. It wasn't that easy. The first 2 weeks I felt sick a lot. I've definitely found my appetite has been suppressed, which I'm not complaining about. But it's definitely been, for me, one of the side effects is that my appetite is not what it used to be. I'm not saying I used to eat loads, but I definitely probably overindulged. I mean, partly it could be that it's controlling my anxiety, and I was an emotional kind of anxiety eater before, so there's a chance that it's just controlling that as opposed to suppressing my diet. I still wake up very early, take the pill in the morning. I kind of contemplated about taking it at night, but I take it first thing in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm tending to wake at 6:30-ish, which is not when I would normally have woken up. So I'm kind of learning to deal with that, and I'll learn eventually to get up and just get on with my day. But for now, I'm just taking it easy and having that time just to myself, which I really appreciate. So the medication, the side effects have calmed down. I definitely feel lighter. I feel far more able to deal with problems. This week, in fact, I had bad news about universal credit and not being able to get it. And kind of 5 weeks ago, that would have hit me so hard. And this week I was just like, you know what? Whatever, I'll deal with it. I haven't got any money, but it's fine. So I was far more rational in being able to deal with it. And I think that is basically what seems to have happened is that my mind is clearer now. And I know that I've still got probably 3 weeks before the pills have their kind of full effect. And I'm really hoping it will stop with my anxiety dreams, but who knows? They may well just be here forever. I kind of feel like I've battled on through anxiety for quite a long time. Not a huge, like overwhelming anxiety, but like a generalized anxiety. So something I always felt I was in control of, apart from when I had a few panic attacks and things down in London. But generally I felt in control of it enough. So I'm hoping that these will help with that and help me to kind of, in my mind, I see it as like scales, and those scales kind of balancing out. So I'm hoping that balance is better going forward. And the GP has explained that I could be on these for 6 months minimum. It could be longer. It just depends how I cope with them. It's fundamentally an increase in serotonin. And I did look up about serotonin and pregnancy, because when I was pregnant, that's not me saying I am pregnant. When I was pregnant with both children, I got really, really sick. And pregnancy is a huge increase in serotonin. So I wonder if serotonin makes my body feel sick. I don't know. Because I felt certainly the first 2 weeks I was feeling nauseous every single day, and I was really struggling to eat any food the first 2 weeks. But that again has calmed down, which is very good, because I needed to be able to actually eat without being sick. So that's kind of where I'm at. That was about 3 weeks ago now. So I've had 3 weeks of medication, and that 3 weeks has really improved my mindset. I feel in a better place. I have come under some criticism on Instagram because I am positive, which I find hard, but just because I'm positive doesn't mean that I'm not depressed. I'm a really positive person. That is my personality, and I can't change that. And when I couldn't see the positivity is when I knew there was a really big problem for me, because I generally try and see positive things everywhere. That's just who I am. And again, I can't change that. So when I've had kind of criticism on Instagram, I've just kind of come back with, I really can't change, and I don't want to change, because I like being positive, and I like that I can find that positive, but that maybe I needed the medication in order to be able to find the positives again. And I know I faced a fair bit of, judgment, I think is the right word, from my family, not my closest family, but some of my family about it. And I know that came from a place of care. They wanted to know I was doing the right thing, as opposed to they wanted to control what I was doing. But still, it felt a bit weird to be being questioned for a decision, because if you broke your leg, no one would say, why are you using that crutch? It's in essence my crutch. I need this to keep me going right now, to keep me alive, for want of like a less dramatic thing to say, but it's true. So this for me has been incredibly useful. So I just wanted to say to anyone who's going through anything similar, anyone who's feeling that despair, to please reach out to someone. I will leave in the down bar some links to mental health charities, to people who are willing to listen, but also your GP is willing to listen. Mine was incredible. She was brilliant. She gave me a list of specific agencies that are based in my area so I could contact them. Another friend recommended a therapist, so I've been seeing a therapist as well. And that's really helping me like unpack some stuff from my past. Again, most of which has been on YouTube, because I've been quite open about everything on here. So, I think that's really helping me to discuss issues within my personality over things like control and, everything around that. So I have definitely felt better, a lot better, for having sought the help that I needed. So if you do need help, please go and ask for it. And I think I'm going to leave that here. Thank you very much for listening if you've got this far, and I will see you again soon. All right, bye.